Hello, hello. This is Kim Ades from Frame of Mind Coaching, and you have just joined the Frame of Mind Coaching podcast. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce to you a really wonderful guest. Her name is Natalie Davison from Marrow Marketing. Natalie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim. I'm excited to be here.
So you came to my attention through one of our up-and-coming coaches. His name is Jonathan Robert. And he said, you need to talk to Natalie. She's awesome. She's amazing. You guys are going to learn from one another. So here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, he was right away. He's like, you need to meet Kim. So the same thing on my end. He was determined that this was meant to be. And here we are making it happen.
So before we start talking about marketing, I want to ask you about the flowers in your background. Are they homemade?
They're homemade. I made them. So my business partner, Kira, and myself, last year we started transitioning our business to more digital. And we were really, we wanted to have brand consistency in our home setups like this. So I do this in front of my computer all day. That's how I'm on the East Coast of Canada. And then my client, Jonathan, being in Saskatchewan, right? Like we're able to do that. So Kira and I really wanted to make sure that we had some consistency in set. So we actually went to a workshop and made these together as like some team building, something fun to do. We're both crafty and hands-on. And then we made them in the same colors. They match our brand and I set them up. Kira's never set hers up. So to this day, a year and a half later, she's got just a white wall behind her, which cracks me up because it shows our personalities in a nutshell right there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I have been thinking about this whole idea of what background should I use on my Zoom setting. You know, people put up pictures and then their face kind of comes in and out of the picture and it looks really weird.
Yeah.
And it morphs into the picture background. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So let's start there. Everybody's on Zoom these days.
Yes.
Everybody's taking a peek inside your home. You can see where I am. You know, literally right now I'm in my bedroom. I'm usually at the office, but right now I'm in my bedroom. Like, what do you recommend in terms of like, does it matter what the background is?
You know
what? Are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. So first of all, I just want everybody in the world to just like take a breath right now because we've been thrown into becoming professional video producers with no experience or education on that. So that's kind of a big deal. But okay, high level. Marketing, we're all marketers because marketing is just getting humans to take an action. And how do you get humans to take an action? Well, you create an emotional connection. And how do you create an emotional connection? It comes down to two things, openness and competence. And we get really, really tied up in competence and we kind of forget about openness. So everybody's like freaking out that they need to have professional studios, right? So if you sell studio equipment right now that people can buy and set up in their homes, you are laughing because everybody's like, I need this camera and this mic and this thing I saw. But you know, you're doing that at the expense of openness because it's really important to understand what do people expect you to be competent in. Nobody's hired you to have a professional video studio in your house unless that's what you do. And so I think it's really important that we all just kind of give ourselves a little bit of grace here and understand what are they expecting competence in and then just like take a breath. The fact that we are in our homes right now allows emotional connection. I was talking to my brother-in-law the other night and he works with FireEye Canada, which is a pretty large organization. And he was saying how he feels so connected to his team right now because when they get on Zoom calls, they're doing things like, let's have show and tell. And they're bringing in things from home and they get, oh, did you paint that thing behind you? They're having these next level conversations of depth that nobody ever thought to have. So first and foremost, if your background isn't, sensational, that might actually be bringing you closer to the people you're trying to connect with. So just kind of like let that one go, right?
So go back. So first of all, I kind of jumped in. I didn't even give you a proper introduction.
Oh my gosh.
Like, okay, so Marrow Marketing, what do you do? Who do you do it for? And then I want to talk about this whole idea of openness and competence. So let's just give us a brief intro. Who are 100%. You? 100%. What do you do? Who do you do it for?
So we are a 2-person marketing education and agency in Atlantic Canada, but we serve clients from across Canada. Most of our clients are not located in our region. So we're coast to coast, and we have a few clients in the USA as well. And what we focus on are brand communications, brand strategy, and then how to turn that into content. And so we believe that leadership and influence comes from two things: clarity and consistency.
Wait a second. We have a lot
Yeah,
going on. Openness and competence, clarity and
right?
consistency. I'm writing it down.
I say them all the time. I'm sure I'll say them again.
Okay.
And so we follow those who are clear and consistent, which means that brands need to be taking a bigger picture view of what they're saying,
Mhm.
what they're communicating, and understanding that if they're not communicating the consistent message over time, they're not saying the same thing over and over in just different ways, then you are actually starting to erode trust. And so we want to build influence. We want to build leadership in our organizations. And we do that through teaching them how to anchor into a message and then communicate that same thing over and over and over.
Okay. Amazing. So go back to openness.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is that so hard for people? And what is openness? Like, what am I supposed to do? Say, like, come look into my closet, literally
Right?
and figuratively. Like, what does it mean? And I
Yes.
find, like, for
I
me,
love that.
there's a very interesting parallel we're making between marketing and my view of what coaching needs to be. So I want to talk a little bit about openness, but then I'm going to share with you my kind of strange philosophy about coaching
Okay.
and
I
see if they
can't
fit
wait.
together. Okay,
All
go.
right. Okay. So openness. So let me preface this with saying I'm not one of those people that is like, rah, rah, vulnerability for the sake of vulnerability. Like, I think that actually serves nobody. Right. So I don't think that just showing up and being like, hey, everybody, I'm a hot mess all the time is the right thing to do unless there's a reason that makes sense and it is
Mhm.
continuing to communicate that core message that you're trying to communicate. And that shouldn't be all the time. Right now there are moments where vulnerability, sure, but like we're over glorifying it to the point that now people are faking it, and it's just the worst.
Right.
So when I say openness, here's what I mean. I believe that every human is just walking around on this planet into these new situations, whether it's a relationship, like a business relationship. We're on this podcast together right now for the first time. We get in these situations with each other, whether it's with a brand or another person, and we're just constantly asking the same question: am I safe here? That's it. And so what, as a brand, once you really, really step into that and understand that anybody who interacts with your organization is asking that question here, like they may not know they're asking it, but they're deeply asking it. Am I safe here? Are they going to rip me off? Are they going to pitch me something and disappear? Is this product going to be any good? Are they full of it? Like all of those things, that's what they're asking. And so when I say openness, I mean giving people that sense, showing up in a way that gives people that sense that they're safe with you
Mhm.
for the thing that they trust you with. You don't have to be safe with me for everything. There are people that are not safe with me, right? Like if you're, I don't know, a racist, a misogynist, you're not safe with me. Like I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. We shouldn't, like you're just not. But by contrast, that means that other people are very safe with me.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're all just doing. We're walking
So
around saying, hey,
how do you create that safety? Is it through consistent messaging? Is it
consistent.
through, so like now I have a conversation. How do I create safety? Is it by being also personally transparent, which I think is different from vulnerable,
Yeah, so it's really,
or sharing all your crap,
yeah,
right?
so I mean, again, all the crap doesn't have a place in all the places, right? Like
Mhm.
I share a lot in my content, but also I don't share a lot at all. Like if you,
Mhm.
it's really, really interesting. People are like, "Oh, you're so open about your life." I'm like, I have never, like, rarely made a piece of content that includes my husband. My kids don't want to be in my content very often, so they're not. Like, I'm not bearing it all. But what I
Mhm.
am is going deep on the thing that I'm deep on,
Mhm.
and I'm in my integrity with that. And I do it when it's hard. So, for
So give me an
example,
example. Yeah.
yeah, I'll give you an example. So, an example of that is, and again, there are going to be people in your audience that are probably not going to like me much after this, but it's really about being courageous in those moments where you face and it doesn't matter if you don't agree with me. about the issue I'm going to share. It's about being in your integrity and the fact that you don't agree with me. And I totally honor that about whoever. And so what I stand for is that I want to always amplify the voices of people who are trying to make progress, who are trying to make a difference, but are generally not heard, from whether it's because of the color of their skin, their gender, their life circumstance, their economic circumstance. I always want to I understand that I have a certain amount of privilege on this planet as a white woman. And so because of that, I want to use my voice to amplify the voices of people who could use that. And that's really important to me. And so I'll give you a great example. Last year, I was 39. I was nominated for a top 20 under 40 award, and it was something I always wanted in my, in my city it was for my business. But these awards were not just business awards. They were for all kinds of different things. There were people that were being honored for their contribution to the arts. Mine was business. And there was a leader in our community who is, she's really really into her work on the environment and climate change. And that's what she was being honored for. So we weren't even Facebook friends. I didn't have a relationship with this person, but what I do have is a very strong barometer when it comes to, are we in integrity right now or not? Mm-hmm. And so she was being honored for this, which was amazing. And the weekend before the event, they announced that the corporate sponsor was going to be somebody that was very, very problematic with her values. And so again, I didn't even notice. I'll be honest. I've made some big changes in my life to be better to the environment since, but at that time it wasn't something I spent a lot of time on. And so she stepped forward 3 days before the event and rescinded her nomination and called upon the organizers to reconsider their major sponsorship. And I was like, wow, that's brave. And she listed all the reasons. And man, some of those reasons were reasons that they were things that I cared about a lot. Mm-hmm. But what I cared about the most was that if we were going to honor her for this specific work, then we need to listen to her when she wants to lead on that specific issue. Right. And so I thought, well, I don't want an award that if I needed to use my voice right now, wouldn't even listen to that. I don't want that. I think this is the moment where my best contribution is to lend my voice to hers and try and make it louder, because people expect her to do this, but they certainly don't expect me. Mm-hmm. And, the power in leadership sometimes comes from there's no leaders without followers. And so I thought in that moment, I am the unexpected follower here. And it's really important that I do this.
So sometimes following is leading.
100%. And so I did rescind my nomination. And the business community who knew me as a business leader were like, what? And they were like, are we safe with her now? And many came to the conclusion that they're not, and some of my community.
In other words, is she a radical? Is that why they didn't feel safe?
We didn't expect you to do this. We have all of this history of you behaving in this certain way. Mm-hmm. And so now you're behaving in this way. But the people who really know me and the people who work with me, my clients, were like, oh, that is exactly in your integrity. And so, but those are those moments where it's hard. It's so hard to be in your integrity, but I would have never felt good about the decision to proceed. And so that's just one simple example, but it's a huge part of my personal brand. I've had opportunities not come my way because that happened. And I have had some of the greatest opportunities of my life come my way because that happened.
So you're saying that the opportunities that are coming your way are much more aligned with who you are and what you value.
Yeah.
I could be in marketing. No, I'm just
because you are a marketer. Everyone's a marketer.
Okay. We're going to go back. Oh, okay. So we're going to go back. I am getting actually a question from our producer right now who's producing the podcast, and he says marketing is such a black hole. SEO, ads, video creation, content marketing, social media, branding, etc., and on and on. When somebody is looking at opening a business, where can they focus? What should they try first? And I want to ask you that question in one moment. I just want to go back to,
yes, you
said there are things that I share, things that I don't share, but when I share, I go deep on these things. What are the things you go deep on? And then I want to go to this question.
Yeah. So I go deep on exactly what I just shared. So I go deep on issues of social justice that really matter to me,
Got
especially
it.
just
Yeah.
amplifying voices. I go deep on, like as a brand, my business partner and I go deep on visionary and integrator tendencies.
Yeah.
So we feel that we're really important leaders in that way, where we can help people see that their unique gifts are where they should be
And you're the
specializing in their
visionary
business.
in this
I'm the
case.
visionary, she's the integrator. Yeah.
That's why she doesn't have anything on her wall
So she
that's artsy.
100%. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. It's why, like I said today, we're starting a new podcast, and I'm pre-production, she's post-production. I'm depth, she's details. Like we have like all
You're
of
the
these.
interviewer.
Yeah, we have all these combo titles for each other, but we talk about that a lot because our audience finds themselves usually in one or the other, and it helps people be themselves when they can release all of these other expectations they shouldn't be spending their time on, right? We spend so much time beating ourselves up because we're not good at spreadsheets. Well, you shouldn't be doing spreadsheets. Like, just let it go. Don't be dramatic about it, right? So, so we go deep on that. We go deep on those issues. We go deep on women's rights. These are all things that are not marketing related.
Right.
And then, and we go deep on integrity.
Okay, so I want to go back not only to Jonathan's question. I want to go back to something I started when we started this conversation. So I want to talk about like this whole idea of safety.
Yes.
So in the world of coaching, because I think it's very parallel. And a lot of coaching programs, there's the coach, and then there's the client, and there's coach is taught to create boundaries, healthy boundaries between themselves and the client. And my philosophy is slightly different. And because safety is so important and trust is so important, my job, and I teach my coaches not to create boundaries, to tear down boundaries, because we live our lives with so many bloody boundaries. And so, from my perspective, in order to help a client get to a whole new place, they have to be willing to get in that boat with you and row. So they need to trust you. They need to know who you are, what you're about, what you stand for. They need to know that you have their back, right? And in order for that to happen, we need to remove boundaries. So that's my philosophy. It's a very different from most coaching, counseling, therapy concepts. But that's why we have no trouble getting super personal, appropriately personal, with our clients.
Okay, that's how you're okay, so that's interesting, because I was like, I mean, I agree when you use boundaries in that way of like the sharing and the ability to connect 100%. But it's I think where boundaries hurt us, and I believe we're agreeing on this, is when we're using them as armor. That's not what they're meant for.
Exactly.
That's not what they're meant for. They're meant, boundaries, safe and healthy boundaries, in my opinion, are not armor. They're like the walls that give you a place in which you can take your armor off.
So let me just go one step further. Okay. So now we're having a really cool conversation, because what are the walls? Exactly. Boundaries are the walls, but are walls a good idea?
Okay, how about this example? And let me know what you think.
No. Like I'm coming at you thinking, like, I totally agree with everything you've said up until this moment, right?
Yeah.
So when I talk about like the need to totally connect with our clients, like totally connect at a whole other level, right? So I want to take down boundaries. Why? Because when I put up boundaries, I tend to be focused on what I don't want.
But think of boundaries in a bigger picture way, right? Like, it's not just like, I'm not going there with you. It's not that. It's like, I am definitely going there with you because you and I are safe together, because that thing that's scaring you out there is not coming in. I've got it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, think about a puddle.
No. I get what you mean.
So the way that I say it.
I want to just say, I love you. Okay. So I love your energy. I love your smile. I love everything you're saying. But I don't agree.
But you're not letting me finish.
I don't agree on boundaries.
But let me finish. And I do need to finish this statement, because I feel like I haven't, and you don't have to agree with me. That doesn't bother me in the least. But when we look at, if we want to go deep on anything with anybody, then we can't go wide at the same time. So I talk about like connection and relationship. Imagine it's like water in a puddle. And if you really want to get to any kind of depth in that, if you have something that you want to get, I don't know, you have a stick and you want to get it wet, well, how are you going to get it wet? You're going to dip it in a deeper puddle, but that means you only have the same amount of water. You can't go as wide. So that's how I look at boundaries, is like, we can get deeper. If we're not going to these places, we're going to go deep on this thing. It's an exercise in focus. And I don't think we are disagreeing. I think we have different definitions of what we're talking about. Because I don't talk about my husband publicly on content, because I just don't have, it's not going to give any value to anybody's life that I'm personally working with. You know what I mean?
I I agree that we're not disagreeing.
Yeah, me
I
too.
agree that we're agreeing. However, I just, for me and for this audience, it's very important for those of you who are listening to just take a moment to step out of this concept of boundaries, again, from a coaching standpoint, and to understand that when we as humans create healthy, what we call healthy boundaries, what we tend to do when we do create healthy boundaries is focus entirely on what we do not want. And I encourage my clients to kind of step away from that concept and turn around, maybe physically even sometimes, and say, okay, so what do I want?
Love that.
And that's what I mean when I talk about boundaries.
Yeah.
So you're talking about creating a safe space for your clients, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And there are lots of ways to do that. And I encourage my clients to think about what they want as opposed to what they don't want.
Yeah.
So this is not a contradictory conversation.
No, not at all.
It's the idea that a lot of people have a misconception about this idea of creating healthy boundaries that I really wanted to address.
I totally agree. And I think we use it as a crutch and an excuse sometimes.
Right.
Not
So
things.
I want to go to Jonathan's question, which is, so I'm starting a new business. There's so many things I'm supposed to be doing on the marketing front. What should I be doing? Like, what's the first, second, and third thing that I should pay attention to?
Research, and research. It's so funny. We get really caught up in research as if it's something that is like reserved for academics. So I wish I had a different word for it. But then at the same time, I like giving that power back to the average person, that research is in your hands. And so what I mean by that is really understanding, who do you serve? How does what you do actually provide value to them? Because the way you think it does may not be the way that they think it does. And what language do they use to describe the problem and the way that it's solved? And those are the three most important things you should be doing as you start something, so that you can craft messaging that immediately connects. I don't know if you guys use the mirroring in your work, but mirroring is when you use the language the other person uses. So if I say, we use buyer persona in our work, where we create a semi-fictional representation of your ideal customer. But some people say ideal customer avatar. Someone the other day said, oh, that's your niche. And I was like, okay, well, again, niche is a very common word in certain marketing circles. And ICA is another one, and buyer persona is another one. So for us, it was really about, and it always is about for our clients, figuring out the words that your ideal customer is using to describe their problem and what you do, so that you can use those back when you craft your messaging and then have a long-term content strategy.
So how do you find out?
You interview them. And if you are able, and if you don't have customers yet, you know who you wish your customer was. And so if you can find a way to actually have a live conversation, that's where you're going to be able to get the best stuff. It's better than polls or interviews, not interviews, questionnaires, those types of things. Now, get what you can, but you got to really ask people and have the courage, and you'll be shocked at how many people will give you their time to talk about having a better experience with the brands that are going to help them solve their problems.
So what you're really saying, where people miss the boat, is they're not actually talking to their clients in the language that clients speak.
Yeah, that's a big one. That is a big one. And I can, I can take that language. The really big picture is people just aren't listening. Like, that's really what it is, because we can take language, that what we just said, and replace it with platform that they're spending their time on, or what they're doing on the platform. We're just not listening enough to what our clients and our end users are actually spending their time on, and what they're doing there, and what they're saying there, and what they're looking for there. And if we take the time to understand them, then we can now bring ourselves into conversations that they're already having and provide value in a whole other way. Nobody likes generic marketing. Like
Right.
nobody wants to feel like they're everybody. They're just like, one in a million. They want to think
So,
that this is for them.
so in other words, before you create any content, before you go on social media, before you create videos and anything, understand what it is that people need help with,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. It's crazy because we spend so much time. People will be like, okay, I need help with Instagram. And I'm like, do you? And then we dig in and I'm like, okay, well, who are you serving and what are you helping them with? And they're like, well, what do you mean? Like I sell this thing. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like we need to scale back, figure out what impact you're trying to make, what you're saying to them, how you're impacting their life. And then is Instagram the right platform for your business? And if it is, then we can talk about what you do there. But there's a lot of work to do before that.
So when a client comes to you and says, look, what I really want is to improve my lead generation, do you say, okay, fine, let's get that done? Or do you kind of take a step back?
Not at all. I don't think it like nobody has ever hired me. Although, like again, I wouldn't want to do the work. Like nobody hires, like we're strategists, we're big picture. We'll look at your business and we should be the ones telling you if you have an issue with your lead generation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we should be the ones looking at your business and saying to you, yeah, this is a lead gen problem. No, actually it's not. It's something else. And that we need that freedom, or else we're going to be held to metrics and outcomes that we may not be set up to ever achieve. Like we behave like marketing is all these tiny things that exist independently, but it is not. Like marketing is the sum of every interaction anybody ever has with your brand, ever. Whether it's how you answer the phone or that one ad that you run on Facebook. It's all together.
So you're more of a diagnostician. Is that the word?
Yeah, I would say I've built a system in which you can insert the assets that you've created for your marketing, and then we can look at that system. We call it the integrated brand. We can look at that system from the big picture and try to identify the areas that are kind of blind spots. And for the most part, they're very rarely change this one tactic on the end. Everybody's looking for this like quick fix and they're going to make all this money. It's never about that. It's almost always about clarity and consistency over time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the Frame of Mind coaching brand?
I have not deeply. I mean, I've seen it at a top level, but I've not done a deep dive.
I was hoping to get a little bit of free advice to say, what can I be fixing?
Well, what are your challenges right now? Like what do you, what are your goals?
Yeah, I mean, again, for us, it's very interesting because the situation in the world today has changed the way we do business. And so historically, a great portion of our efforts were spent in speaking engagements.
Mm-hmm.
Is on the road all the time.
And so do you speak as lead gen?
Yes. Very much so.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm hired to go speak. I deliver a ton of value, highly interactive. My goal is to make a massive difference while I'm there.
Right.
And so
and then you attract that business.
Right. And then we invite people to learn more and experience more. But obviously we're not doing that anymore. So,
right. And that's so interesting. Sorry to interrupt, but the tactics now have to change, but maybe the core messaging doesn't, because that's really effective for you when you're in person, right?
Yes.
So I also speak and travel and speak. And I'm part of a bunch of masterminds, and we're spending a lot of time working on what do we do with this now, And obviously there are virtual events coming up, but what's going on right now, and I think is really, really interesting. I just got this information yesterday. I was so fortunate to be part of a group that received this study from Edison Research talking about what are media consumption patterns like right now, COVID-19, like as of like last week. And here's what we're hearing as of last week. As of last week, people are spending more time consuming content. They're spending more time online on social media. Adults are spending more time on Facebook. But what they want there is not the things that have always made like me successful, which is showing up and teaching. People don't want that right now. What people want today is they want escape and they want entertainment and they do not want another item on their to-do list.
They want
And
a little
so
levity.
they want lightness. They want hope. They want to not think about all the things they're thinking about. And that was such an aha moment for me. And immediately I went into our membership group and told, all of our clients, they're like, hey, everybody, like new data, like as of now, because that's the world we live in. This is the importance of listening and marketing, right? Everything can change overnight. So if you're not like on it, then, you don't know if the tactics are working anymore. So temporarily, I would advise that like any tactics, anybody who leaned heavily into speaking and teaching and all of that kind of work, which we both do, tries to find a new strategy short term to start bringing that moment of like, oh.
So let me tell you a quick story, and then I want your 2 cents on this. The quick story is that I have 5 kids, and one of them is a TikTok addict.
Relatable.
Anyways, so my daughter was sitting on a blue recliner in our house, and she was eating cookies, and I saw that she was making a lot of crumbs all over her lap. So I grabbed the dust buster and I started to vacuum her. And my son, who is the TikTok addict, caught it on video and posted it on TikTok.
Okay.
And I took the video and I said, oh my God, I got caught on TikTok. Now, some people think it's like a tad obscene because I'm vacuuming her lap. But it really was like,
I think it's hilarious.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of watching this thing going, wow, like people are having very strong reactions to it. Some people are dying of laughter, literally saying, I just laughed out loud. That's hilarious. And some people are going, like, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
So my question to you is, what are your thoughts about that video? In fact, I was even advised to take it down.
Oh, were you? Wow.
Yeah.
I have strong thoughts. So you should know that, right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I wanted to ask your opinion on TikTok.
Okay. So just before we came on here, I published a blog called TikTok for Business, ? So that's hilarious. I am active TikToker. So I post 3 to 4 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah, I am working really hard to get a deep understanding of the algorithm. I believe in my heart of hearts, 100%, it is going to be the future for my business, like for sure. And I'm really active on other platforms, but TikTok is going to be like a very big deal for my business. It is not for every business. It is a big deal for my business. So here are a couple of things. They just crossed 2 billion downloads of the app last month. It is the fastest growing platform in the world. And the biggest demographic that's come over are millennials. And so people my age are like, oh, the young people are there.
Right.
But when you're on TikTok, they're like, the old people are here. Because millennials are all the way up to age 39. That's how we classify them.
Right.
So they're actually adults. But we talk about them like they're teenagers. So, this is the kind of biggest, fastest mass adoption of a platform that I've ever seen. And when we look at, I've been a marketer since before Facebook. So when we look at these other platforms and their evolution, this has happened so fast. I think COVID happening at the same time, what I just shared about people looking for that lightness and that humanity right now is so important. People are looking, we can't stop. We're wired for emotional connection, but we can't have it in person right now. So where are we looking? Facebook and or wherever. And so that's why people are coming over to TikTok. I saw it called the last sunny corner of the internet. And it is really overwhelmingly positive. It's jokes and, dancing. And you don't get the news, your face all the time. So in terms of like consumption, I really enjoy it. Content creation, it is next level. So what you're getting for content creation is all of these skills that we used to have to hire all of these people to be experts in, that you can I taught my mom yesterday in 10 minutes how to do things that we would have spent thousands of dollars getting someone to do a few years ago.
Like what? What did you teach her to do?
Video editing,
Oh,
overlaying music,
yeah, right. Got
you
it.
know what I mean? Like transitioning, like these are things that the average person just could not do before. And even to use a platform like Instagram, well, you had to know what you were doing to create that piece of content and then upload it. So here you are now in this situation with native built-in tools that are so good that you can literally create anything and put it out there in like a matter of minutes. It's unbelievable to me. So I think that the platform is absolutely here to stay. I think that, I fought it a long time. So I'm one of those people that's like, you can't do everything. I tell my clients all the time, you can't be on every platform. We need to figure out where your clients are, where you serve them best, where your
Mhm.
talents are aligned, and you go there. And I don't think everybody today should be on TikTok, but I do believe that a lot more brands are going to be there as we continue to move forward, and it's a place that I'm going to be.
So the video, should I take it down?
No, well, what's your goal? Who do you serve? You know,
My
and
goal is to be human. My goal is to
there.
be a little bit funny. I always tell people I'm the funniest person I know, but nobody really knows that. Right?
So now you're going to show them. I always say, Kim, like, I know I'm not for everybody, and I want them to figure that out as fast as possible. Like the last thing I want to ever happen, and this has happened many times in my career, but as I get more comfortable with myself and get older, I try to make it happen faster. The last thing I ever want to happen is for someone to think I'm great because I didn't show them who I was. And then they get into a contract with us and we're working along, and all of a sudden they find out I dance on TikTok, or I'm a loud feminist, or whatever other thing is going to make them hate my guts. And they find out once we're in a contract, well, now we're in trouble because they don't trust me anymore, and there's literally nothing I can do about that.
Right. Right.
Right. So now, in the way that we operate our brand is we're clear about our values. And so we talk about these things so early on. It's like to open the podcast with like, hey, you might not like these things about me. I want you to know that, because for the people that don't want it, like, I don't want you to then just listen and waste your hour being annoyed with me. Like, you don't deserve that. You just don't have to like me. But then the people that do, the people that are like, thank God someone's saying this thing out loud, that relationship, that depth that we can get in the puddle together is next level. And our clients are so loyal and supportive. Do whatever we come up with. We'll try something new. They're all there. And we're like, this is unbelievable. But why? Because we have created something meaningful together. And it's about more than just selling stuff. And that's marketing.
So I want to say to you that I'm on a lot of podcasts as the guest, and usually my energy is through the roof, and I think I met my match. um, uh, and I just like really enjoyed talking with you today on a
Same.
very personal level.
Same.
You're fun, you're energetic, you're passionate, you're opinionated, you're smiling all the time. And it was super, super fun. Even that little battle we had all the way. Fun,
Oh.
fun, fun.
Hey, Kim, can I ask you a question? Has anybody ever told you you're too much?
I don't go there with people.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to be able to have conversations where we don't agree. Who cares?
I
Like,
love
you know what I
it.
mean? That's
Love it.
life. That's the
Love it.
best
Yes.
part, is when we can do that and be like, I agree, I don't agree, whatever. What about if you look at it this way? No, shut up. Like, who cares? Like, people need to do that more and still love each other. And then people need to see other people do that more.
Right.
Like,
So I really enjoyed it. How do people find you? That's really
so
what I want to say.
sorry, interrupted you. Okay, so you can find us at madeofmarrow.com. If you want to read that TikTok blog, it's there. I'm on TikTok at Nat Davison, Davison, or we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram.
I'm going to go find you
Oh, come
on
find me.
TikTok.
Yeah, you're gonna really. I had somebody that's been following for years on our other assets message me the other day, and she goes, "I know you so much better in 1 month of TikTok." I was like, "Yeah, you do."
Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for being open and what's the other word? Competent.
Hope
There's
so.
no question that you're both of those.
Thank you.
I had a great time. Thank you. Madeofmarrow.com. Go visit her. Go talk to her. Find out about what she does and what she can do for you. Thank you, Natalie. It was a blast.
Thank you.